Okay, so this is going to be the final and updated version of the SubSlide Druid build. This is my favorite setup. I think it's the strongest. We did Nightmare Dungeon 100, by the way, on hardcore with it. It's really amazing at speed farming, 70, 80 dungeons, really easy. Your health like doesn't even move. And this is going to be the final updated guide, and there's also going to be a written guide on D4 builds that you can just follow if you don't want to watch this entire video. The previous guides, the starter builds, are still viable. And then the previous endgame build guide is still good, but this is going to be my favorite setup, which is a one-handed offhand setup, and I'm just going to go over the different changes and why I think this is the best. Well, anyways, let's go over the basis of the build. It revolves around the new subterranean aspect. Basically, your Poison Creeper active, cast landslide on a circle, and your earth skill that deal increased damage to poison targets. That's your bread and butter. Get it like really early on from the Season Journey chapter 1. So like around like level 7 or 8, if you just do 7 out of 9 of these, you get it for free. It goes to your occultist, and you can just imprint it on any gear while leveling. So I use this build from basically the start of the season all the way to level 100 on hardcore and clearing Nightmare Dungeon 100. So you got the subterranean aspect. You got Aftershock that basically just doubles the amount of pillars summoned. Whenever you use your Poison Creeper, that's going to cast your landslide, and then also your Trample, that's going to cast your landslide also. You have your Trampled Earth legendary aspect. That's another bread and butter part of it. Your Trampled now summon landslide pillars. The last thing you need for this is Symbiotic. So when you're spec'd into your Nature's Fury passive, which is down here, and you cast your skills, it'll reset your cooldowns. And then that just makes your Trample just spammable. And then your Poison Creeper, you're going to be second into Pack Leader here. And this right here, your critical strikes have a chance to reset your companion skills. Since it's the companion skill, you'll be resetting a bunch. You're stacking a bunch of critical strike chance. You can do some lucky hit chance, but I didn't like the lucky hit chance setup. I felt like the stacking more damage on it was better because you have so much cooldown with the one-handed offhand setup. You just do the Pack Leader, so you're just constantly auto-attacking and just spamming your Trample, your Poison Creeper, and you have your Bulwark up for pretty much perma unstoppable. So that is basically how the build works. Subterranean, Aftershock, Trample, Symbiotic for your resets, so you're just spamming and you'll pretty much never have to cast Landslide ever. Let's go over your gear real quick. This is a little bit open for interpretation, so if you don't have perfect affixes on your gear, that's fine, but you definitely want the aspects that are in the guide on your gear. Okay, so your helmet, you just want willpower. If you have enough willpower to fulfill your Paragon board requirements, you don't have to have willpower, you can get like Dex or Intellect. And by Paragon board requirements, what I mean is the placement of your Paragon boards dictate the amount of attributes required for the bonus effect, right? So this is board like 1, 2, 3, and then as it goes on, right, the requirements increase. This requirement increase by the order you place your board, but we'll go into that a little bit later on. So I don't need like more Dex or more Intellect to meet the requirements of the further board stuff that's meaningful, so I just get willpower for more damage. Cooldown reduction mandatory, armor, life, and then your aspect is the Mending Stone. This is going to increase the duration of Earth and Bulwark, and it's also going to refresh the barrier. And this with Symbiotic, when you're auto-attacking, attacking, and resetting your skill cooldown with Nature's Fury, you'll pretty much have perma unstoppable and uptime on your Bulwark. You'll be super tanky. Next thing is your chest. You just want pure damage reduction stat on this thing, okay? Total armor, damage reduction from close, damage reduction from fortified. You could have life instead of the damage reduction stat, or you could have damage reduction from poison. Those are all good. So just all damage reduction or life on your chest. And then you want to have the might aspect whenever you auto attack, you're going to get damage reduction too. Your bracers, you just want landslide damage. That's the most important thing. That's going to boost your skill level. You want critical strike chance because you're scaling crit. You want crit damage because more crit's good, and more attack speed because that gets your resets with your storm strike. Next thing is your pants over here. The implicit on the pants doesn't really matter too much. Having life at the barrier when you get low health is good, but it's not mandatory. Just go for whatever pants that have like good item power and good stats on it. So on these pants, I got just pure damage reduction again. You guys probably hear it all the time. Damage reduction from fortified, close, damage reduction armor. You could have damage reduction while injured. instead of normal damage reduction. So it's when you get under 35% health, it'll give you huge DR, so you have more time to hit your health potion, not die, or you can have damage reduction from poisoned, or you can have life also. And then mandatory, you want disobedience. Just when you're attacking, you're going to get more stack in armor, and you want to basically just have as much armor as possible in Diablo 4. Your boots, I have all attributes on this. This is to meet Paragon board requirements. You want movement speed, that's mandatory, top priority. Damage reduction while injured, and willpower just for more damage. And then you have actually two choices for aspects here. For speed clearing, I like this aspect right here. It's a Ghost Walker. While unstoppable, you gain 25% movement speed. It rolls from 10 to 25. If you don't actually see the range, what you want to do is go to options, go to gameplay, and make sure you turn on advanced tooltips, because you want max rolled aspects, not minimum rolled ones. So this is definitely better for speed clear, and it just makes you quicker. Keep in mind, movement speed cap is 200, so you can't exceed that. But you won't get that with this build, so yeah, just run Ghost Walker. Then if you just want more damage, you could run the ballistic boots here. Interchangeable, same exact stats as this, but yeah, you can run ballistics. When you have Fortify, your Earth skills gain +2 range, so that's just more single target damage, but less movement speed. And then your implicit on your boots, you want maximum evade charges. Now for your weapon, you want a one-handed axe because of implicit healthy, increased damage to healthy enemies. The most important thing on weapon is your item power. And then ideally you want 4 good stats, but usually how it works is every like 15 to 25 item power equals 1 affix. So if you have something that's 820 item power and it has like 3 good affixes, and you have something that's like 770 and it has only 3 good it has like 4 good affixes, perfect affixes on it, the 820 item with 3 good affixes will be better than the lower item power piece of gear with perfect affixes. So keep that in mind. And then, yeah, you just want core skills, willpower, vulnerability, crit damage. More crit damage, better. You get crit damage with earth skills on there. You can run like damage while close instead of like core skills. That is all good. And then on your weapon, you want the trample aspect. So this is like whenever you use your trample, it's going to proc a bunch of landslide that also change your trample to a nature, magic, and earth skills. So it'll help scale it too. Now your offhand. So this is my favorite setup, right? You have like the different setups. You run like crone or two-handed version, but I like the offhand setup the best because offhand have implicit cooldown reduction rolls. In addition to that, you get more cooldown reduction. You get critical strike chance, which I got 6.9% nice, and then you can also get 2 more forms of damage reduction, and more damage reduction in this game is just pretty much always better. This also just makes your resets a lot more fluid, so you basically only auto attack and you just trample the entire time, and you get more damage reduction, and it feels a lot smoother, higher uptime on your ultimates too. And on here, you're just going to have retaliation as your aspect. You could run like basic attacks, have more attack speed too if you want, but it's not really needed. I found retaliation to be the best. Now for your ring over here, what you basically want is you want crit chance on it. You could have life on it, vulnerability, any crit damage, stats like that. So just things that scale with your ability. And then the aspect is natural balance. Natural balance, when you recast a storm skill, your earth skills grant 45 times crit multi, and casting earth skill gives your storm skill more crit. I like this instead of crash stone. Earth skills deal more critical damage to crowd control enemies, right? The reason why I like running this is not conditional. This always affects all mobs in the game, and you're always going to be auto-attacking to keep up your Storm Strike damage reduction, and you're always going to be auto-attacking for your resets. So 45% is high, right, compared to 40, and it affects everything. It just doesn't only affect trash or bosses that are staggered. So the damage is always active, and then it affects like world bosses too. So always active damage multiplier in my mind is better than a conditional one. And then for your malignant heart, you just are going to be running this one right here. It's only for the damage reduction. So you just want a max rolled one, 20% reduced damage reduction. It doesn't matter about the explode damage at all. So you just want 20% suppression. Here, same exact thing, crit chance, crit damage, life, vulnerability damage, close damage, physical damage. Anything you want on your rings is good. And then your aspect is going to be subterranean, mandatory on the build, bread and butter. And then your heart is going to be the critical hit damage heart. You're pretty much going to be critting all the time with this build. So the downside is not too big. Keep in mind also, like malignant hearts, the higher level they get, the more armor they give. So eventually you want like a perfect level 5 one. I never found a good level 5 one. So Yeah, if you want to hunt for level 5 Malignant Heart, you can. Oh yeah, but for neck though, right, your most desirable stat on neck is what? Cooldown reduction and venom. You want movement speed, which I actually don't have yet because movement speed equals better clear. And then some damage reduction stat. Damage reduction while injured, so when your health gets low, you have more time to hit your potion. Damage reduction from close or damage reduction from armor. Your imprint, you want it to be Nature's Fury, because this is like whenever you trigger your Nature Fury passive, which is whenever you cast an Earth skill, you have a chance to trigger a Storm skill. Whenever you cast a Storm skill, you have a chance to trigger an Earth skill. It will cause your cooldowns to be reset. In addition to that, by having your symbiotic on your neck, it also increases the cooldown reduction because neck is 1.5 times multiplier to the aspect effect. So instead of 5 on your helmet or like an armor slot, it's 1.5 times value. So you get 8-second cooldown reduction here. And then for your Malignant Heart, you want Barber. And how Barber works, right, is you see it has, it'll basically absorb your damage from 2 to 4 seconds, then it'll detonate a round. And then it also, the stored damage is affected by an additional multiplier. When you're clearing, if your damage will essentially like kill the mob before the 4 seconds it up, it just automatically detonates. So you don't actually have to wait around for 4 seconds to for Barber to activate and kill stuff. If you're just clearing and you're just attacking stuff, they'll basically just die right away and do a little cascaded damage. The downside is if you're in group play, it absorbed all your group members' damage. If you're doing like world bosses, you ever notice like the bosses are immune? It'll absorb everyone's damage, but then it gets like calculated into the DPS too. Yeah, if you're not playing solo, other people might get annoyed by it. But it is a big damage multiplier. It also messes with some unlucky hit effects, which doesn't really affect the build too much. Now let's go into your boons. The first boon that you want to get is Pack Leader. So it's like level 15 Druid quest. You want your damage reduction from elites. You want like your crit chance. You want your crit damage here. Your second line to this, your specialization. And then last but not least, you want your calm before the storm. Nature magic skills have a chance to reduce the cooldown of your ultimate, and we're using Petrify. So now let's go into your talents, and I want to talk about how the scaling works. So if you ever hover over like any ability in Diablo 4, it'll have tags. So this ability is tagged like core, earth, nature. And if you look at the bottom right, it says physical. This is what your build is scaling off damage wise. So if you're ever wondering, like you're looking at your Paragon board or you're looking at your skill tree and you're trying to make decisions yourself, make sure you understand this. And then let's say, for example, you put on like an item like Vasilis, right? Vasily, what it does, your Earth skill, they're now Werebear skills, and then like Insatiable Fury, your Werebear form is now your true form, you gain ranks to your Werebear skills. Notice Landslide with Vasily, which you can run this alternate setup, it'll actually add additional tags, and now it'll also scale off of shapeshifting and Werebear damage. And then since it does that, when you equip your Insatiable Fury, it also increases the range because this is now a Landslide skill. So make sure you kind of just like read the tooltips on like whatever build you're doing, and it'll help you give you a better understanding of how to scale up that damage, and you can make these decisions yourself when you're trying to build out your own loadouts. So anyways, with the build, your generator is going to be Storm Strike. This is good because it's going to, well, first off, apply vulnerability if you're not applying it, which you could do through exploit glyph, but it also gives you a passive damage reduction. You're always going to be wanting auto attacking because it'll also give you a crit damage multiplier, crit chance multiplier via your natural balance. It also gives you your symbiotic reset, so that allows you to spam your skills, so you don't actually have to cast Landslide. All your damage will just be coming from your Poison Creeper and your Tramples. So it just synergizes very well there, and it also gives you your damage reduction from your might. So more damage reduction, resets, damage, and then you get more damage reduction from your Storm Strike. Next, so just like those two, next one Heart of the Wild, impulses for more damage. You're just juicing up Landslide all the way. Enhanced Landslide, you don't got a choice there. And Primal Slide, this is going to allow you to get Terra Mode, so each enemy hit by your Landslide consumes a Terra Mode, causing a guaranteed critical strike with enhanced critical hit damage multiplier. And bosses will have up to a 10% chance to gain Terra Modes when hit. So Terra Modes, strong. Also over here, Predatory Instinct is going to be more critical strike chance, so when you're just on top of enemies, you're critting more, which is good. And then Iron Fur for some damage reduction. Earth and Bulwark, this is your defensive setup, and via your mending, you're going to constantly refresh the shield. It also gives you Unstoppable, so you don't get hit by those pesky CCs and like little spider traps and frozen stuff. And then Earth and Bulwark, whenever you cast it, it's going to give you Fortify. Fortify is good. We use it in the build. It's one of the damage reduction stats. Fortify, I can show you what it is in a little bit, but basically, you know, you have your health globe. It gets red once it fills up fully. Your Fortify exceeds your health. You get the silver lining, and that basically makes you take 10% reduced damage, and then you gain full effects of your fortified damage reduction. Ancestral Fortitude just resists prereq for Vigilance. Since you're spamming your Earth and Bulwark, since it's resetting constantly, you'll also proc this additional damage reduction. Your Poison Creeper, so this is what you're going to use to activate. You also want to debuff mobs first, because it'll apply slow, and that activates like CC multipliers. So Poison Creeper, increase the mobilization effect, then also increase duration. Over here for Trample, this is also right the proc free landslides. You don't actually need this or this point. A lot of times I'll take these points out and I'll just put them in here for extra damage reduction. But I have them put in right here for some extra spirit. And then here, this is just a damage multiplier, crushing Earth. Critical strikes will give you extra fortify. More fortify is always good instead of only being reliant on your Earth and Bulwark node right here. Stone Guard, more damage. Right here, Neurotoxin, poison enemies are slowed by 8%. And then poison enemies, right, deal more critical hit damage, and that's what you got on your neck. So that's why you're always gonna, like when you initiate the mobs, right, you use your Poison Creeper first to apply your status ailment, and then also you get your enhanced damage there. You're gonna be using Petrify Ultimate. This basically just stuns enemies. Very, very useful when you go in big packs. You just stun them, and then you just use your skills, and nothing hits you. You do a bunch of damage. Defiance, your nature skill has nature tag, so more damage. Remember that thing here, Earth skill do more damage to vulnerable targets. When your auto attack with your Storm Strike or Exploit Glyph will apply it. A huge damage multiplier there. And then Resonance, nature skill deal more damage. Triple is bonus when Earth skill is the next skill you use after Storm skill. This is a Storm skill, which you're using as a generator and to reset stuff and proc your different abilities. So you're getting the triple effect from Resonance. 1 point in quick shift for a little extra damage, and then max heightened senses for damage reduction. Then your bread and butter is your nature fury. So that's that for your skills. There's gonna be a full like written guide down below those, so you don't have to actually like watch this part. You just follow along with the guide. Now with your Paragon board, so this Paragon board is pretty mid-max. I'm actually using 7 Paragon boards. The full Paragon board is down below. You can just follow it click by click, and I'll tell you guys basically how I did it. So you just follow your pathing, exploit glyph. This is vulnerability for 3 seconds, so usually just kill stuff within this window, but if you need to apply vulnerability after it, you will use your Storm Strike. Your next board is over here, Earth and Devastation board. And you'll also be doing Earth and Sky. Your third board right here, we'll be using Spirit. And what I did early on, you can actually swap the position of these boards early on. If you follow the starter version of the build, you'll actually be using Ancestral Guidance. So what I do here, I actually path down at this point, and I get this Ancestral Guidance board, right? And then I attach this board right here, and I fill this out. That's where I do my Undaunted for your extra damage and damage reduction. And then once you fill that out, you path over here. Get over here, put your outmatch in, and then you'll actually refund these points, and then you'll just use them to allocate over here. This is your Thunderstruck board, and this we're going to put your Territorial Glyph. And then your final board, which is your 7th board, is Heightened Malice. While there are 3 or more poison enemies nearby you, you deal 45 times damage, and there will be poison enemies around you because you're going to jump into the density. Proc in your Poison Creepers. Yeah, 7 board. Also, another thing that's really, really important, I'll go over board setup. A lot of people when they're starting out, they're like, I only got my starter board. How do I get more boards? The game gives you them for free. You just like click this little like gate once you get here, and then you can just preview it, right? And then you could rotate it, and then you can attach it. And another thing that's important to note is the board order actually matters. You see these requirements on each node. The order of the board dictates the attribute requirements. So you want to follow the order I tell you to do the boards, because you want to make sure you're getting the bonus effects. So you notice, like if I hover over the nodes, right, I'm getting the bonus effect. I'm getting the big core damage multiplier. And there's other effects that I think that aren't that good, and I don't actually meet the requirements. It's done in strategic ways, so make sure you follow the order of the boards. Other than that, I guess let's go into the play style of the build and like how you're going to be doing your damage. So I guess I'll just pop open a Nightmare Dungeon real quick. So we're in Nightmare Dungeon tier 69. I'm just going to go over like how you do your damage and stuff. So first off, consumables. What consumables are good for the build? Critical strike consumables, lucky hit, critical hit damage, armor for more survivability. You could also use like different incense, right? Like a different incense, you know, through the type. So you could actually have like 3 different incense on at a time. You'd have like type 1 incense, you have a type 2 incense, and there's the type 3 incense that's really expensive. I'm not using it. Gives you like some crit chance and some extra attributes. Yeah, I'll just put like an armor elixir on. I don't actually need an armor elixir, but I'll just do it for the demonstration. And here you can see my defensive stats over here. But anyways, how do you play this build? So you notice I always say you auto attack. When you auto attack this will, you notice I have my crit damage multiplier over here from my natural balance, right? You have your might damage reduction and stuff like that, right? So you got all your damage reductions there. Now, when I pop my skill, you notice that I'm auto attacking. What are they gonna do? It's gonna reset the cooldown. That's from the symbiotic, right? So how does symbiotic work? When a Nature Fury Keystone passive is triggered, your non-ultimate cooldowns are reduced. That's why you have your Nature Fury, right? So you can literally auto attacking, you can see how it's working, right? You're just auto attacking, and it's gonna be like resetting stuff. So anyways, your play style is essentially gonna be this. So you're gonna always wanna like auto attack. This is to keep up your damage reduction from your aspects, from your Storm Strike on your tree and stuff like that. So make sure you auto attack every couple seconds. You wanna make sure to keep up your Earth and Bulwark. You're always going to initiate the mobs with Poison Creeper. This will first off CC them, do damage, and it'll also activate your other damage multiplier. Then it'll use your trample. Your trample will go to your cursor. So, right. So if I put, if I put it farther away, it's going to go farther. That's basically it. That's how you play. And then if you get into really, really big density, you're going to want to use your Petrified to CC the mobs. So let's go. That's all the mobs dead. I just right there pop a little Petrify. Notice my cooldowns are already reset. Same thing here. You just charge these mobs. DC them. I'm just gonna charge in. Okay, just charge in there. Look, it reset already. Perfect. That's probably the worst dungeon to showcase this build. You have terrible density. Terrible density and skeletons, but we have some clips of some better ones. That's basically just a playstyle, right? Initiate, Poison Creeper, make sure you activate that. Trample, Poison Creeper's already reset, right? You just Poison Creeper again, auto attack. That's it. No, the mob density didn't buff. The popular ultimate there, right? What's causing the lightning and the hurricane? Oh, so that's when you proc Nature's Fury. When you use your different Storm and Earth skills, it'll actually cause those spells from those pools to spawn, but they don't actually really do too much damage. You're just using it for the symbiotic resets. So you come in here, right? Use your thing to activate your abilities, trample. You just give a little auto attack, right? And that's how you reset your stuff. That's like right here, you got like a Tomb Lord or whatever. Actually, he had a really, really small hitbox. Not absorb my damage. Yeah. That's basically it. We got some better dungeon stuff though. There it goes, boys. Nightmare Dungeon 100 on the build. Okay, guys, I'm ramping. Oh my god, look at my damage.
For Doran's birthday.
Oh! Bro, what was that damage? What was that damage? 10 levels under? Anyway, that's pretty much the updated and final version of the landslide build. The one-hand or offhand setup is my favorite version. I just like the enhanced cooldown reduction, the additional damage reduction, crit chance, and stuff like that. The Nightmare Dungeon 100 on this build. Speed farming, you can do 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s really, really quickly. You do 40, 50s, and overall, if you just follow the starter guide, really smooth leveling experience, and there's no uniques at all required for those builds. So no unique item dependency, and you just go start to finish just based off aspects and gear drops. That's it. Thanks for watching.